Hello everybody and welcome back to another Pokemon Emerald video. Today I will be playing through the game with a Gen 3 original. This time it's a Manectric's turn to shine. Maybe. For some reason, Game Freak seems to be a bit obsessed with the electric dogs. Raikou, Manectric, Luxray, even though that's more of a feline, and lastly Yamper. They made a whole bunch of them for whatever reason. The rules are the usual ones, so I can only use my starter in combat, I can't use any consumables in battle, I can't raise my evasion in any way, and I can't use cheats or glitches. Electric Pokémons are generally decent. They are fast and usually have decent special attack. You might think that in a region like Hoenn, where water types are prevalent, they might be even stronger. But I'm not so sure that will be the case. Manectric's starting moveset is not great. The only thing I have to damage enemies is a tackle, which is physical and not stab, so it will not do that much damage. There are also a couple of positives though. Thunder Wave is nice to slow enemies down and make them lose some turns here and there, and also Howl can be used to increase my physical attack. While not a very important move right now, it will play a major role later in the game. The fight against the rival was kinda close because she got a crit, but thankfully our ability Static triggered quite early and allowed me to finish the rival before she could do the same to me. The first major wall of this run will be Roxanne for a couple different reasons. Even if I grind to level 20 and learn Spark, her first two Pokémons are part ground, so they will be immune to it. The only other option I have for them is Quick Attack, but considering my very low physical attack, it's not going to be very good. As you can see, I lost once because they can do quite a lot of damage with their rock moves, especially if they don't miss. In the second attempt, I was a bit more lucky and I was able to get many howls off without losing too much of my HP. Even with a lot of boosts from howl, my physical attacks are not doing that much to the Geodudes. Unfortunately, Rock Tomb does not make a contact, otherwise Static could have triggered against them too. At least I think that's the case. Once her ace came out, I was very close to that, and one hit could have finished me. Fortunately, I got a crit from Spark, and that's a one-shot on her ace, for a quite close first badge. Next, I did the usual side stuff around town, and before leaving I took on the optional fight against May. This time it was very easy, because even though her Pokémons are kinda powerful, they are neutral or weak to Spark, so that's a one-shot on both of them. Today I felt confident enough with a special move to take on Brawly. His Pokémons can hurt quite a lot, especially if they set up with Bulk Up, but they did not get the chance to do so, since Spark was somehow a one-shot on all of them too. Well, after an unexpectedly easy gym fight, it's time to bully some bullies. As usual, after delivering the parts to this guy, we are attacked by two Team Aqua Grunts. Unfortunately for them, today is not their lucky day, since Spark is super effective on all of their Pokémons. Sure, it is considered a physical attack, which means that I get the rough skin damage, but it's not like it will do all that much to me. After defeating both of them, Archie shows up and rants for a little bit about some stuff. And once he leaves, we can resume our training because the next encounter with May might be quite dangerous. Since she evolved her starter, it is now part ground, and so it is immune to spark. Fortunately, I still have Howl in my moveset, and since Lombre cannot do that much damage to me, I take the opportunity to set up a lot of attack boost. I might have overdone it a little bit, but considering that a crit mudshot will surely one-shot me, I prefer to take no risks. With all of that attack and a nice crit, the rest of her team is a one-hit KO with quick attack. Now that we have defeated her, we can move on to the next town and its gym leader, Watson. Electric resists itself, so my moves will not do that much damage. And worst of all, in this generation, electric types can be paralyzed, both by Thunderwave and by static, so this will surely end up well for me. Yeah, as expected, I end up being paralyzed not even 2 Pokemons in. It would have been a good idea to at least buy Thunderbolt to have a lot more base power, but I kinda did not want to buy it yet. I almost paid that cockiness because his Manectric has the advantage over mine because mine starts paralyzed and his attacks do not make contact, so he cannot activate my static. With a lot of luck, I end up getting a paralysis which lowers his speed, so I can outspeed him and defeat his ace before I went down. Now that we have this badge too, we can explore more of the region until we reach Meteorfall Caves. Here we find the two teams arguing a bit, and after that we have to climb the local volcano to face Maxi. Not going to lie, I am a bit worried about him. Maybe not in this encounter, but for sure in the next one. My Tiena actually is a problem. You might think that I can ignore Intimidate, but unfortunately he has a Camerapt, which is part ground, so I have to use normal moves, which are physical. Fortunately for now, he does not have any ground moves, so the best he can do is Ember or something like that. I also end up getting a confusion with Secret Power, which is nice but not required at all. Now that he is defeated, we have to climb down and face the next gym leader. Flannery uses fire types, but 2 of her Pokémons are part ground too. Fortunately, I can set up a couple of howls this time too against Slugma, since it should not be able to do that much damage to me. With my attack increased, I should be able to one-shot the Camerapt with a secret power, and not have to worry about him doing anything weird. While I was setting up, Slugma used Light Screen, and that allowed Torkoal to leave a hit. Fortunately, his overhit is not a crit, and surprisingly, it's a contact move, so he ends up being paralyzed too. How unfortunate. After defeating Flannery and getting her badge, we have to go back to one of the starting towns to face our dad in the normal gym fight. I was very much not worried for this one. I know Thunderbolt will be able to deal a lot of damage, and even though his aces lacking will surely survive one hit, he cannot do all that much damage to me with a single facade. Counter is also out of the question, since Thunderbolt is not physical. So yeah, the fight went pretty much as I expected, and that was a very easy badge to obtain. Now that we have the ability to use Surf, we can reach new places, like the Weather Institute, where Admiral Shelley is holding some guys hostages. I am not even going to say anything about her because Thunderbolts are the way to go, and she gets zapped into oblivion in no time. After defusing that situation, we can resume our journey, only to be stopped a couple feet later by May. Her team has now improved quite a bit and is somewhat of a threat, especially her starter. Luckily, I was able to learn Bite through level up, and this move will be very useful while dealing with ground types, since the only other option is to use normal attacks or hidden power, but the type is random and we'll get to that later. After defeating our rival, we can take on the next gym. Unfortunately for her, this is a pretty awful matchup, at least for most of her team, because Altaria is here to ruin my day with Earthquake. Thankfully, Altaria does not have very much physical attack, so even if it is super effective, I do not lose that much HP. The rest of the team is much easier to defeat since they are all one-shots, even Tropius, who is only neutral to it. Pelipper makes me waste some time because he loves to protect, but at least he does not confuse me. Now that we have the 6th badge too, we can resume our journey, and in the next town we find May once again. Not much to say about her. Her team improved even more, but there's not a whole lot she can do. And today is even a good day for her, since I misclicked and let Marstomp hit me once. After I realize my mistake, I can switch to Bite and finish off the starter with a flinch. The rest of the team takes a couple of attacks to go down, so today I can definitely say this was not a sweep. Anyway, once we defeat her too, we can climb the Pokemon Tower and get the magma emblem from the old lady on top. With that item, we can enter the super secret team magma base where Groudon is sleeping. Unfortunately, we arrive just a bit too late and see Groudon running away after being awoken by Maxie, who attacks us, and yeah, Camerupt is a problem. I do get one-shotted by Earthquake, but that's only because I was dumb and did not heal up fully before entering the fight against him. Those two resets could have been saved because, as you can see, at full HP I can leave one hit. Very badly, but that's better than being one-shotted. At least I am still faster than Crobat, so I can one-shot him with Thunderbolt. No confusion for you today. Well, now that we taught one team the lesson, we have to do the same with the other. Unfortunately, we only find one of the admirals who is not really worth fighting against, but hey, he wants to be the hero, so let's make him happy. After sweeping him, we can get back to the main story, and after training a bit more, we have to face Tate and Liza. This was a bit of an interesting fight, because my top priority has to be Claydol. It knows Earthquake, and once my partner Pokemon is defeated, all of the damage would land on me, and maybe not one-shot me, but surely close to that. Fortunately, even though I can't one-hit KO him with Bite, I do get the flinch, and that's enough to save most of my HP. From there, I can keep attacking the enemies, even though I get confused, which is pretty bad. Fortunately, at least Lunatone misses a Hypnosis, so I can keep attacking and don't have to sleep. After a little bit, I have to switch my attention to Xatu, because it is setting up a lot of Calm Minds, and at this point, a Psychic from it might kill me. Even with all of that extra special defense, one Thunderbolt is enough, and with that thing defeated, the rest of the team falls quite easily. Well, another close gym, but at least we can say that we defeated it with no resets. Now it's time for the double fight with Steven against the Team Magma. This fight should be quite scary in theory, because they have two camera-ups and at least one of them knows Earthquake. You might think that with two Pokemons weak to it, even though you would be taking down your partner, it might be worth to use Earthquake. Instead, they never use it, even when there is a Crowbat on the side who would take literally zero damage from it. I don't really know how this AI works, man, but it needs some fixing. I guess I should not complain, at least this way it is much safer for me. With a couple more Thunderbolts, I was able to defeat the rest of their Pokémons and finally get the Dive HM from Steven. Immediately after acquiring it, we have to use it to reach the Seafloor Cave, where Kyogre resides. Archie arrives soon after us and attacks us. For him, I added an extra challenge to defeat him without looking at the screen. To be fair, it was not very hard, considering that the only thing I had to do is click the A button over and over again. Even though we defeated the leader of the Team Aqua, the red orb activates on its own and wakes up the legendary. Today, Rayquaza's help might be really needed because an earthquake from Groudon would put me 6 feet under 3 times over or something like that. There is quite a large number of part ground or at least Pokemon with ground moves in this game. So much so that I always worry when I have to use an electric type. And somehow having to face a ground type is not the worst thing I have to do in the fight against Juan. Sure, Whiscash is dangerous, it deals a lot of damage with Earthquake and does not take that much from Bite. And also is healed by the trainer. But you see, he is at least a fair fight. He does not use any moves to increase his evasiveness and then dodge every attack ever for 20 turns. And I am definitely not referring to the Kingdra that is about to come out. Yeah, that was totally not thin-veiled foreshadowing. Unfortunately, Kingdra is a pain, like it often is. Somehow, even though I can do 95% of his HP in one hit, that is not enough to have an easy fight against it. And even if I get a paralysis by some miracle, she can just heal it off with a rest. I have to spend a large number of turns against this thing, so much so that I was starting to worry about running out of Thunderbolt PPs. Fortunately, the two last ones connect in a row, finally defeating the seahorse and letting me get the last badge of the region. After collecting all of them, we can enter the Victory Road, where we find our secondary rival of the game, Wally. Once again, his team is quite nice and has a lot of threats for us. First is Altaria, who has Earthquake, but instead of using it, tries to boost. That does not really work out for it, so that's one enemy down. The other two dangers are Magneton, since it resists my attack very well, and to a lesser extent Roselia, since it resists too and could be problematic with Toxic or Leech Seed. Fortunately, nothing bad happens this time around, so after a few more hits against Gardevoir, who takes Thunderbolt quite well, I can resume the journey through Victory Road and after defeating all of the trainers come out on the other side. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to check out which type Hidden Power was, and of course it's Ice type, so once again it saves the day in a big way, as you'll see. The first member of the Elite Four is Sidney. I am not too worried about him. I can use Thunderbolt for most of his Pokémons, and since I have Hidden Power Ice, his grass types will not really be a problem either. Shift 3 tries to use the double team tactic, but at least it only worked once so far. One thing that I sort of regret is not getting many rare candies throughout the region today, because that could have been useful if I end up being stuck in one of the later fights. Next we have the ghost type trainer Pheobe. As you might expect, this is the usual story. I am worried about Dusclops using Curse. I tried to take it down with Thunderbolt, but it protects twice, so my PPs are not looking very good. Fortunately, I also have a Bite, which is quite good against her Ghost type team. I save a couple of Thunderbolt PPs because I want to use it against Sableye and make sure to one-shot it before it was able to use Double Team, because I had enough trouble with that move for one day. After defeating Phoebe, it's time for Glacia, and even though she is an Ice-type trainer, half of her team is Water types, who do not appreciate my electric moves. Yeah, she was probably the easiest member. I just needed to spam Thunderbolt multiple times, and the only thing that might leave are the two Glalis, and unless they got a freeze, this should be fine. The second Glalie does indeed leave and uses Hail, which is fine by me. It will slow down the fight a little bit and will do chip damage at the end of every turn, but since it is not coming from the ability, it will end in only 5 turns, so there is no threat about it. After defeating Glacia 2, we only have Drake left as far as Elite 4 goes, and he would be by far the hardest one out of all of them. But since Hidden Power decided to be my savior today, he might end up being one of the easiest ones. The Pokemon I was really worried about is a Flygon, but with a nice move, it's an easy one-shot. The only thing that could prove problematic in this fight is, of course, Kingdra. Man, I'm starting to hate this Pokemon. At least I don't think this one has a double team, so the best it can do is a bit of damage with Surf or Ice Beam. After a bit of stalling with the potions, it too goes down, and I can finish off his ace with one last hidden power. Now that we have defeated all of the Elite Four, it's only the champion left. And he uses water types, so this will be easy, right? Right, guys? Yeah, Wallace was a problem. Whiscash is a lot to handle. It can easily deal 75% of my HP in one hit, so I ended up losing a lot to it. I tried a different strategy by boosting with Howl and then taking it out with Return, but that caused a few losses against Wailord. I got one lucky attempt where I got all the way to his penultimate Pokemon, but then my Milotic lived a Thunderbolt. What? How is that even possible? Anyway, after quite a bit of struggle, as you can see the number of resets quickly climbed up, I finally got a bit of luck on my side. By using the usual strategy with Wailord, I lowered his HP quite a lot, and since it is not very smart, it refused to use Double Edge or Blizzard for quite a while, leaving me more than enough turns to set up a whole bunch of Howls, all the way to +6. Sure, my HP is not looking fantastic right now, and I am only alive because he missed that one Blizzard, but at least this should be fine now. At +6, Whiscash is indeed a one-shot with a Return, and after defeating a couple more of his Pokemons, I was once again face to face with Milotic. This time I learned my lesson and tried to use Return. Thanks to all of those boosts, it is too a one-shot, finally getting me out of this hell at level 69. Nice. Well, that was weird. Manectric did quite well for most of the game until it came down to Wallace, where I slammed my face against the wall. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, press the like button, subscribe, ring the bell, etc. etc. If you have any feedback, video ideas, or any comments in general, leave them down in the comments. I will be sure to respond to them as soon as possible. See you next week. Bye!